Hello, everyone. My name is Aura Lily Campbell, and I am the creator and founder of the Rising Rose Project. Feel so grateful to be here today, and I feel very honored, and I hope this speech is very beneficial to you. I first want to start by saying that I always believe that we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. It's the way I've always walked my life and my journey. But it wasn't until about a couple years ago that that was tested to the core of my being. It was May of 2015, and I had just given birth to my son, Kai. I had this overwhelming sense of love, fear, anxiety, and responsibility that soon turned out as postpartum depression. The pain was real, very real. It was raw, crippling to say the least. I remember laying on my closet room floor, yearning for the emotional pain to go away and wanting to die. Understanding that taking my own life would not be the right answer and that ultimately my son would be the one to suffer. I knew I needed professional help. I sought help from a mental health therapist, a psychiatrist, a psychologist. I even had a chaplain visit my home a couple times, all which were very important along my journey, but pacified the pain, if at most. It wasn't until after my son's first birthday that I went on a deep spiritual retreat. I achieved deep levels of meditation and inner connection that was extremely profound. It was an amazing breakthrough into my life. I had the confidence, the courage, and the faith that I was going to be okay. So I went home and I created a plan with what I like to call the trifecta, the mind, body, and soul. I did educational information for my mind. I did spiritual development books, improvement books, and I surrounded myself with friends and family who loved me unconditionally. For my body, I exercised. I ate well, and I fed myself with good food. And then for my soul, I practiced a daily meditation and mindfulness. The most surprising thing out of all three was that the meditation was the most profound part. It was the key to my transformation. It literally awakened my inner healer. And so, with that being said, that's how I created the Rising Rose Project. So overall, there's numerous scientific information about mindfulness and meditation on how it can be beneficial to you. Decreasing anxiety, depression, increases creativity and imagination, allows you to enjoy the present moment regardless of any situations going on around you, has anti-aging properties, allows you to take a vacation without going through TSA or even having to use your mile points, decreases stress, and it's free. Just like the homeless man in the corner street can practice it, so can the billionaire in the penthouse. It is your birthright to be able to connect. And somehow in our society, we've lost our way. So I want to tell you that I always say my son is my greatest teacher, and I am the student constantly listening. And as my son turns 4 this upcoming year, I've noticed all these things I've had to teach him along the way, and how to do things safely, and how to learn the ABCs, the 1, 2, 3s, how to share, language, what's appropriate, not appropriate. And when you really think of everything we've all learned along the way, there's only one thing I've never had to teach my son. And I never had to teach him how to laugh, how to giggle, or how to smile. Because that's the essence of who he is. And that same essence lives in every single one of us. And through meditation, you connect back to that space. And when you connect to that space, you allow that energy to come forth and be more a part of your reality. And that's why checking into that inner network is extremely important. Another thing that I know to be true, and why I know meditation and mindfulness is real, is that life works with balance. And even at a cellular level, it's proven to us because every proton gravitates to an electron. A battery needs the positive and the negative charge. Spiritually, you hear about the yin and the yang, the light and the dark. We have this sun and this moon. And even to create life, you need the sperm and the egg. So if there's this massive physical universe that we believe we have no control of, the earthquakes, the hurricanes, the tsunamis, the poverty, the politics, trafficking, the traffic, the in-laws, the stock market, all this stuff physically that we have no control of. The balance of that is that there's a massive non-physical universe that we have complete control of. And that non-physical universe is very much alive around us, sitting here waiting for us to acknowledge it, waiting for us to attune to it, and sitting there waiting for us to listen. Now, I don't want you to get discouraged if you don't practice mindfulness or meditation regularly. So I always like to use the analogy of your hands. Your ability to process this external world, I would say, is like your dominant hand. You've mastered it. You can literally write your name with your eyes closed. You can literally smell the apple pie and know it's apple pie. You can hear someone's voice and say, that's my mom. Your ability to understand this external world is very strong, it's very dominant. So when you start to process the ability to process your internal world, it may feel like your non-dominant hand. It may feel weak. It may feel awkward. It may feel uncomfortable, but it doesn't mean it can't be strengthened, and it doesn't mean it can't be practiced, and it doesn't mean it can't be balanced. So don't get discouraged with that. Whatever language you use to identify with this, the reality is there's a massive information inside of you that is constantly connecting. Whether you only believe it to be cells and communication of blood and interactions of electrolytes and stuff, or do you believe it's your soul, your spirit, your subconscious? It doesn't matter what narrative works for you, just use that narrative. It doesn't matter the description anymore. It's just time for us to practice it. So, how do you practice it? How can you go home today and do it? My events, we are very sensory stimulating, and I advocate that you use the senses. You don't go beyond, you don't fight them, you use them to your advantage. So, first, let's talk about smell. It's obvious to say that, use essential oils that resonate with you. For me, it's eucalyptus, but lavender, rose is extremely powerful. But think beyond essential oils. If it's a perfume or a cologne that really brings you peace, put a spritz on yourself. Audio, which is music, the hearing. You can use music in a way that is very calming for you. I always say try to make a playlist of 10 to 15 minutes. My events, we use very modern music and sacred music, and we use it actually very loud. If you like loud music and you know certain songs that are going to really speak to your soul, then use them. Visual, definitely create your space. Use the same place every time you go home. For me, it's my bedroom and I lay down on my bed. Use the same area. The more you reconnect back to that space, the less resistance you have and the more surrendering. So I don't want you to get discouraged with that. And finally, the last one I would, oh no, and touch actually. Let me not forget to mention this. Something like an item that's very important to you, whether it's prayer beads or a rosary or some type of rock or crystal. But a lot of times people feel that getting attached to something outside of themselves distracts them. So what you can do as well is just put your hand over your heart and feel your heartbeat. That will bring you back more connected to yourself. And last but not least, taste. So taste is extremely important, and that's because it connects you to the breath. So I really want you to open up your mouth and then really enjoy some rhythmic breathing. And I want you to taste the breath. See, the air is made up of 21% oxygen. 21%. And just be open to the idea that that's just part of the equation. It literally shows you that. It's 21%. It's vital for us to live. But what else is this non-physical air there for us? And that shows you how powerful that breath is. See, at one point, we were all connected to the umbilical cord with our moms, and the umbilical cord was cut. And the very next thing that needed to happen to sustain life was the breath. So the umbilical cord removed detoxins and stuff, and it gave you nutrients. That was cut. Now you have the breath. You remove stuff, and then you bring in vitality. Every single one of us in this world is breathing until we take our last breath. Honor your breath. Open your mouth. Is the air cold? Is it warm? Does it feel stuffy? Should you open a window? Should you add a plant? Should you add a salt lamp? Should you be in another environment? Does it not feel like a real vital space? The Rising Rose Project is my truth. It is my passion. It is my calling. I want you to know this, that with every situation, with every experience you go through in life, you are continuously rising. You are increasing with knowledge, you're increasing with wisdom and information and connection. But I also want you to remember this, that the minute you took your first breath when you were born, you rose with everything you needed. You have all the information inside of you, all the intuition, all the clarity, all the love, joy, and abundance. You are the perfect creation. You are the miracle you want to see. You are the change that you want to see in the world, and you are the rising rose. Thank you.